It's a lovely day here in Shrewsbury. That's the new St Chad's. Last week I was at the old St Chad's. This is the one that replaced it in the 18th century. The tower, that square section at the bottom, there are massive oak beams and that supports the octagon on top. And they had some problems with that. Down there, the Shrewsbury School, where Michael Palin and Michael Portillo attended it. I think Portillo went there. No, Palin did. So, that's Quarry Park down there, and the Dingle, the boathouse, Percy Thrower's Lodge, I think. That's the War Memorial. That's the War Memorial, sorry. One of them, the other down there. So, lovely day here. We have a crisis of leadership, fairly evidently. It's not just among the Uniparty, but across the whole spectrum. This is how we've allowed people like Abdul Nebasidi to sort of, well, he's vanished, isn't he? Who knows where he's gone in the Thames, probably in hiding. But it's the overarching ideology in politics and how that plays out in society is that of toxic sentimentality. Theodore Dalrymple, spoilt rotten, 2010. Follow that. Unfortunately, that's the ideology of the Uniparty, as we see, and that's what needs to be overturned if you want to start solving any of the social problems. They're all compounded, rather than they're all built on that ideology of sentimentality, and as we've seen from 2020, saying do no harm, be kind, is the opposite. That's a narcissistic term. That's actually gaslighting. So when somebody higher up in society says do no harm, be kind, the flying monkeys then get involved and carry out those instructions on their behalf, saying be kind. What that means, that's code for, is to silence any opposition to what anybody's saying, so that if you make valid points of opposition on any policy, then if it can be framed as being unkind, you are then seen as being toxic for doing so. So it's a shorthand way of silencing any dissent. Again, see USSR. And this is right across the board, this ideology of kindness, fairness, social justice, critical social justice, critical race theory. It all stems from the concept of the oppressed and oppressors. It's all superficial and shallow, but that's how superficial and shallow politics has got. I mean, see Prime Minister's questions this week and how Keith Starmer tried to weaponise the murder of Brianna Gray to get a point across. This can only be overturned through, I would say, through a muscular party who is willing to bring these things up. See, there are levels of discussion, levels that are abstraction in discussion. The level of low level of abstraction in discussion that we see in the moment is literally this: be kind, do no harm, don't insult, don't insult anyone. That's shallow abstraction. Unfortunately, this needs to be all discussed at a much higher level of abstraction. That takes brain power. The level of abstraction that we are using at the moment is on the emotional be kind, which is what the level of abstraction veganism runs on: be kind, do no harm to animals. ignoring the fact that trillions of animals are killed for vegan diets. But that's the entirely how low level and emotional it is. A more logical side is a much higher, much more difficult, because it's a you have to take in multifactorial evidence. That's going to be harder to achieve. So, how would you overturn it? As Rafe Hadelman-Coe said, you'd have to get rid of pretty much all the Quangos. If you wanted to solve these problems once and for all, you'd have to get rid of the Quangos, probably have a clear out of the civil service, clear out of the major charities, certainly the trustees and the management in them. Essentially, what's called the graduate class who run all these things over the past decade or more, that have to be got rid of in conservative opinions, with more logical thinking, replacing them. What do you do with those emotionally stunted liberals who infest these places? Separate thought. So you'd have to find somebody willing to make these points, to make the points that Rafe Hadelman-Coe has been making. Only have to complete clear out, because such is the scale of the ideology. Same with the BBC, such has been the scale of the clear out needed. It would have to be another revolution, because we have suffered a revolution since 1997. In case anyone hasn't noticed, under Tony Blair. So you have to reverse that, and rapidly, because we're on that same pattern of decline since the 1990s. That's easier said than done. Dr. Emma Webb, she's an academic, and she's a presenter on GB News. She's founded the Common Sense Society, where she's trying to make these points. Unfortunately, what's that going to achieve? It doesn't have much traction. Can you say you've heard of it? I have. I've met her. I've met colleagues in it. Same with Amy Gallagher. She was a trainee psychotherapist until she came foul of the NHS's diversity inclusion guidelines, which said that a man can be a woman and all that sort of thing. So she's now the SDP's mayoral candidate in London, and she's extremely impressive lady. And she's founded up something called Stand Up to Woke. Again, you might not have heard of it. What overlap is there? But in terms of actually achieving material benefits, somebody asked me, well, people actually do need to make a stand. It's all very well saying that change is needed, until people actually do, you won't get anywhere. And there's, as Matt Goodwin said, it only takes a few people to get together in an SAS style to start to change opinions. But these own opinions can only begin to change among the public first, or rather, as people have been seeing with Abdul Azidi. It's all very well laughing about that. It's all very well pointing out that yes, it is a failure of the Home Office and all the other agencies. But that's just one example. It's replete across the public sector. And in Quangos and charities, all these failures, not just in case management, but the ideology that's driving it. Unless you reject the ideology, there will be many, many more instances of Abdul. And it's not going away unless people realise that they have to challenge this, physically challenge this, and be much more vocal and just saying that enough is enough. You're not going to tolerate that anymore. And voting Labour are only worse than that. In terms of voting for anyone, Reform are far too timid on this. As Lawrence Fox has said, the gloves are coming off and Constantine Kissing, both of them. The gloves are coming off this year. There needs to be a very muscular and an apologetic pushback against this, and an apologetic defence, celebration of British values, which critical social justice isn't. by any means, because of the low-level emotional reasoning behind it all. So that is what your options are: continue down the same path into ruin, or people have to make a stand, and we have to take down the Quangos and charities and clear out the public sector, as well as selecting better candidates to stand as MPs for alternate parties. It's all very well saying we do need alternate parties, but then again, have you seen the complete and utter imbeciles do get selected in certainly in the Uniparty? The alternate party is a little better. Ben Habib, he's stellar, and I hope he wins in Wellingborough on this coming Thursday. He's a magnificent character. So there is talent out there, but it's not selected. If your face doesn't fit, you're out. If your face does fit, as we've seen with Craig Williams. Yes. If you follow the party line, then I follow the right ideology. But we have to become more organised, find a way to try to topple, and it might only take the action of a few people in Matt Goodwin's as an SAS command unit to do this. But I don't think that's going to resonate much with the public. I think it needs people on the ground to stand up and actually nail the colours to the mast and try to bring other people on board with them, to stand, to rally around them. That way that people can challenge the NGOs publicly and vocally. People can challenge the charities, such as the Our Inner Life or the people smuggling in the Channel, and this sort of thing, repeatedly. That's the only way to push back at the moment, but it needs much greater volume. That's the only way that we can prevent people like Abdul Azidi converting, supposedly, to stay in here, and that's after the sex attack up in Newcastle. And also, that's under with the blessing of the Church of England. Look at that behind me. And their convertomatic scheme, whether it's wave a magic wand and bingo, they're automatically a Christian and they get to stay. So, look into what Rafe Hedelman-Co's been saying about overturning all the NGOs and all the charities. And also the BBC, as I said last night. That's where the work is. That was where the work needs to be done, if people are willing to. But the alternative is we just go further down into this decline. Is that what you want?